She mocked the conversation I thought would define our future in his group chat, saying, "That was so embarrassing. Thank God I didn't let it go any further." He forgot I was still in the chat. I replied, "Dodged a bullet." Then I sent the screenshots to his mother, who had already been quietly talking about our wedding like it was only a matter of time. The fallout started immediately. My name is Claire Weston. I'm 30 years old, and I've never been the kind of woman who treats commitment lightly. I don't move fast just because something feels good for a while. I don't build a life with someone unless I believe they're building one with me too. So when I finally decided to stop circling the subject and talk to Nathan seriously about marriage, it wasn't impulsive, it wasn't dramatic, and it wasn't some desperate attempt to force a moment that wasn't there. It came after 3 years. 3 years of routines, habits, inside jokes, quiet weekends, shared groceries, familiar restaurants, and all the little things that make a relationship feel steady enough to trust. Nathan and I weren't chaotic. We weren't one of those couples who confused instability with passion. From the outside, we looked solid. From the inside, I thought we were heading somewhere real. That was the part I got wrong. The conversation itself happened in a quiet place that mattered to us. I chose it because I didn't want a performance. I wanted honesty. No audience, no pressure, no grand gesture. Just a real conversation between two people who had spent 3 years acting like a future was already taking shape. I told him I loved what we had. I told him I was done treating marriage like some abstract topic we could keep postponing every time it got too real. Then I asked him the question we had been avoiding for months. Were we actually moving toward that future, or was I the only one treating this relationship like it had one? Nathan didn't laugh, he didn't get angry, he didn't say no. He just paused, looked at me carefully, and said he needed time. At that moment, I accepted it. That's what respectful people do when they think they're in a serious relationship. They don't corner the other person. They don't push for an answer just to calm themselves down. They give space. They trust the history they've built. They assume honesty is still in the room. So I gave him that space. And for the next few days, everything looked normal. We texted, we saw each other. He didn't go cold. He didn't avoid me. If anything, he seemed unusually relaxed, and I mistook that for maturity. I thought maybe he was thinking it through carefully. Maybe he understood how important the conversation had been. Maybe he wanted to answer me the right way, not the fast way. Then one notification erased all of that. Nathan had a group chat with several of his friends. I'd been added to it months earlier for trip planning and never bothered leaving. Most of the time, it was background noise I ignored. That afternoon, I looked down at my phone at exactly the wrong moment. His name appeared. Then the message. That was so embarrassing. Thank God I didn't let it go any further. I read it once, then again, then one more time, slower, because part of me still wanted there to be another explanation. Some missing context, some wording I had read too harshly, some version of it that didn't mean exactly what it said. There wasn't one. It was casual. That was the worst part. If he had rejected the conversation honestly, it would have hurt, but I could have respected that. If he had admitted he wasn't ready, I could have grieved it and walked away with some dignity intact. But this wasn't hesitation. This was mockery. He had taken something private, something sincere, and turned it into material for other people to laugh at. I didn't call him. I didn't message him privately. I didn't ask what he meant, because there are moments when a person explains themselves too clearly for questions to matter. So I replied right there in the same chat. Dodged a bullet. That was all. No paragraph, no emotional speech, no scene. Just one sentence. The chat went silent almost immediately. Then the scramble began. One person sent, "Wait." Another tried. That's not what he meant. Someone else messaged too fast, like they were trying to close the door before the situation got any bigger. But what stood out most was what nobody said. No one called it cruel. No one said I didn't deserve that. No one told him he was wrong. Nathan started typing. Stopped. Started again. Stopped again. Even that tiny hesitation said enough. It was the exact moment he realized I had seen the message, and the version of events he thought he controlled no longer belonged to him. When he finally sent something, it was weak. He said people were taking the tone the wrong way. That was his instinct, not apology, not accountability, just repositioning. I took screenshots. Not because I wanted revenge, because I understood, very quickly, that this was no longer just a private breakup waiting to happen. His mother had already spoken to me more than once about venues, dates, family logistics, all in that soft, careful way parents do when they don't want to pressure you, but clearly believe something serious is coming. She was making room for me in a future her son was joking about behind my back. And if she was going to keep building that future in her mind, then she deserved the truth before any more of it became real. So I sent her the screenshots. No caption, no explanation, just the image. Then I put my phone down and waited. Her call came in less than 5 minutes. When I answered, her voice was controlled, but different. "Is this recent?" she asked. That was her only question. She didn't ask me what happened. She didn't try to soften it. She didn't tell me I might be misunderstanding him. She had already read it clearly. She only needed to know whether this was who her son used to be, or who he still was now. "Yes," I said. There was a pause on the line, not a long one, but long enough. Then she said quietly, "I see," and hung up. A few seconds later, my phone lit up again. Nathan was calling. I let it ring once before answering. "Claire," he started, tight and rushed. "You're taking this the wrong way." I leaned back in my chair and said nothing for a second. Then I asked, "Then what's the right way to take it?" He hesitated. I was joking with the guys. There it was. Not denial, not remorse, just justification. "So that's how you talk about me?" I asked. "You're twisting it." "No," I said, calm now. "I'm reading exactly what you wrote." Another silence. Then his voice changed, sharper, more exposed. "Why would you send that to my mother?" That question told me everything I needed to know. Not, "Why are you hurt?" Not, "Can we fix this?" Not, "I'm sorry." Just, "Why did you let someone else see who I am?" "She deserved to know," I said. "That wasn't your place." I actually laughed once at that, not because it was funny, but because it was so revealing. "I was part of that future too," I said, or at least I was supposed to be. He started talking over me, trying to shrink the whole thing back down into something private, manageable, containable. But it was too late for that. He had already made it public the moment he turned my honesty into entertainment for other people. "What do you want from me?" he asked finally, like this had somehow become a problem of negotiation. I looked at the wall across from me and answered with more calm than I expected. "I wanted honesty," I said. "I got it." Then I ended the call. A minute later, his mother texted me, "I've canceled everything." I read the message twice, not because I didn't understand it, because in one sentence, she had done what Nathan never managed to do. She had seen the truth, accepted it, and acted accordingly. The group chat went silent after that. Not awkward silent. Dead silent. And that was the moment I understood something with complete certainty. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was exposure. The silence didn't last long. It just changed shape. Instead of noise in the group chat, it moved into private messages. One came first, then another. I didn't know he would say something like that. "Hey, I think things just got out of hand. You shouldn't have sent that to his mom." Different words, same intention. Not one of them addressed what actually happened. Not directly, not clearly. They weren't defending him exactly, but they weren't holding him accountable either. They were trying to shrink the situation back down to something manageable, something that could be brushed off if everyone agreed not to look at it too closely. I didn't respond, because there was nothing to clarify. Everything had already been said, just not in the way they were used to hearing it. Nathan called again. This time I let it ring out. Then came a message. "We need to talk, not like this." I read it, then locked my phone. Because not like this meant one thing. Not where other people could see it. Not where it couldn't be controlled. A few minutes later, my phone lit up again. Different name. His sister. I hesitated for a moment, then answered. "Claire," she said quickly. "I just saw everything. What happened?" Her tone was different from the others. Less defensive. More unsettled. "It means exactly what it looks like," I said. A pause. Then a quiet, "Oh." That single word carried more honesty than anything else I'd seen since the message. "I didn't know he would say something like that," she added, softer now. "I'm sorry." I leaned back slightly. "I believe you," I said. And I did. Because there's a difference between people who participate in something and people who only realize what it is after it's already happened. "Have you talked to him?" she asked. "No." Another pause. "He's not handling this well." I let that sit for a second. "He'll figure it out," I said. Not cold, not kind. Just accurate. Because whatever he was feeling right now, it wasn't confusion. It was loss of control. The call ended shortly after. And for the first time since everything started, I noticed something strange. I wasn't waiting for his explanation anymore. I wasn't hoping he would say something that made it make sense. That phase had already passed. My phone buzzed again. "Nathan." A message this time. "I'm coming over. We should talk in person." I stared at it for a few seconds, then typed back. "No. Simple. Final." His reply came instantly. "Claire, don't do this." That line would have worked on me a week ago, back when I still thought this was something that could be misunderstood. Now it just sounded like pressure. "I already did," I replied. The typing bubble appeared, paused. Then, "You're overreacting." I didn't respond. Because once someone reduces your reaction instead of addressing their action, the conversation stops being about truth. It becomes about control. And I wasn't participating in that. An hour later, there was a knock on my door. Not loud. Not aggressive. Measured. I walked over slowly and opened it. Nathan stood there, exactly the same as always. Same posture, same expression. But something had shifted. Not in him. In me. "Can we talk?" he asked. I looked at him for a moment. Not searching. Not hoping. Just seeing. "You already said what you needed to say," I replied. "That's not fair," he said quickly. "You're taking one message and turning it into—" "One message?" I cut in, calm. "That message wasn't the problem. It was what it showed." He frowned. "That's not who I am." That almost worked. Almost. Because the version of him I had known for 3 years wanted to believe that. But the version of him I had just seen didn't need to pretend. "It is," I said quietly. "You just didn't think I'd hear it." Silence. He shifted slightly, like he was trying to find a version of this conversation where he could still fix it. "I made a mistake," he said finally. I watched him for a second, because that word, mistake, felt too small. Mistakes are accidents. This wasn't. This was comfortable. Familiar. Something he didn't think twice about until it had consequences. "I'm not interested in fixing this," I said. No anger. No hesitation. Just truth. He exhaled sharply. "So that's it?" "Yes." No pause this time. No wait. Just certainty. He stood there a moment longer, like he was waiting for something to shift. It didn't. So eventually he nodded once, turned, and walked away. No argument. No scene. Just gone. I closed the door slowly and leaned back against it. And for the first time since everything started, I realized I wasn't holding anything together anymore. It had already fallen apart. All I had done was stop pretending it hadn't. The next few days didn't feel dramatic. That was the strangest part. No emotional collapse. No late-night spirals. No desperate need to fill the silence. Just space. Not empty space. Clear space. I moved through my apartment slowly that first morning after he left, noticing things I hadn't paid attention to before. The chair he used to drop his jacket on. The extra toothbrush. The half-used coffee bag he insisted tasted better than mine. None of it felt heavy. Just unnecessary. I picked up the toothbrush first, held it for a second, then threw it away. Not as a statement, just because it didn't belong there anymore. That was how most of it went. Small decisions. Quiet ones. No audience. And with each one, something settled into place. Not closure, but direction. My phone buzzed mid-morning. "Nathan, a message. I didn't mean for it to happen like this." I read it once, then put my phone down, because I finally understood something clearly. It wasn't about how it happened. It was about the fact that it did. Another message came a few minutes later. Longer this time. Carefully written. He said he had panicked when the conversation turned serious. That joking with his friends was how he handled pressure. That it came out wrong. That it didn't reflect how he actually felt. I read every word. Not looking for comfort. Just checking for truth. There wasn't any. Not in the way that mattered. Because everything he said explained his reaction. But nothing in it questioned his thinking. That was the difference. People can explain behavior all day. But if they don't examine the mindset behind it, nothing actually changes. At the end of the message, he wrote, "I don't want to lose what we have over something like this." I stared at that line longer than the rest. Something like this. That was how he saw it. An incident. A moment. Something that got out of hand. Not a reveal. Not a shift. Not something that changed the meaning of everything that came before it. Just something small. I typed back. "You didn't lose it because of what you said. You lost it because that's how you think." I read it once, then sent it. No hesitation. The typing bubble appeared. Stopped. Appeared again. Then disappeared completely. No reply. And that silence said more than anything else had. Because for the first time, there wasn't a version of the situation left that worked in his favor. I set my phone down and didn't pick it up again for the rest of the afternoon. Instead, I started changing things. Not dramatically. Not all at once. Just intentionally. I cleared out a drawer. Moved things that had always been slightly out of place. Reorganized the kitchen in a way that made sense to me, not to us. And somewhere in the middle of all that, I noticed something. It didn't feel like I was removing him. It felt like I was getting myself back. That evening, I went out for a walk. No destination. No plan. Just movement. The city looked exactly the same. People moving, cars passing, conversations happening around me like nothing had changed. And maybe for them, nothing had. But for me, everything had shifted. Not loudly. Not in a way anyone else could see. But enough. My phone buzzed once while I was walking. I checked it this time. His sister. "I just wanted you to know. I'm on your side in this." I looked at the message for a moment, then replied, I know, because I did. And because that was enough. I put my phone away and kept walking, not thinking about what I had lost, not replaying anything, just moving forward. 2 weeks later, everything had settled. Not perfectly. But honestly, Nathan didn't reach out again. Not after that last message. Not after realizing there was nothing left to fix. His mother sent one more text a few days after everything quieted down. I hope you're doing okay. You deserve better. I read it, then replied, I will be, because I would. Not someday, already. That night I sat by the window again. Same place, same view, but nothing attached to it anymore. No shared meaning, no lingering weight, just space. And for the first time, I understood something clearly. Closure doesn't come from the other person. It comes from seeing them exactly as they are and not needing them to be anything else. I picked up my phone one last time and scrolled past old messages, old photos, things that used to feel like a future. They didn't feel like anything now. Just records, not anchors. I set my phone down, leaned back, and let the quiet settle around me. No questions, no unfinished conversations. No need to go back. Because in the end, it was simple. The way someone speaks about you when they think you're not listening, that's who they are. And once you hear it, once you really hear it, there's nothing left to fix, only one thing left to do. Believe them and walk away.